I'm Albert.
I'm Vanessa.
I'm Zach.
And we are late to the party. Zach Pope, guys, joined up with him to see a special screening of The Rise of Skywalker.
Right.
Now, this is a non-spoiler review, so we're going to keep all those goodies out of this video to just give you our first impressions coming out of the movie. For me, it was action-packed. There was some awesome scenery. But when it came down to the actual reasoning for certain things in this story, a portion of me says, well, I want to know more, as always. And granted, that's why we read the books and we play the games. But this one, like, they really hung their hat on. Well, you're going to find out eventually. But for me, I liked it.
I liked it. I'm a little conflicted on certain elements. That's why thank God I'm seeing it on Thursday night as well.
Sure.
To kind of get all my thoughts over it. I overall really liked it. I felt like the pacing was really fast, and it's like, hey, we got to make a sequel to Force Awakens and go beyond that as well. It does address some things from Last Jedi, but mostly, almost every single answer you wanted from Force Awakens is all there.
It's true. I think that it was a very satisfying conclusion to the saga, because I was kind of worried that I was going to feel left hanging, and I didn't feel left hanging. There are certain parts where I feel like, okay, well, I kind of want to know that, but like Robert said, we're going to get it in the books, we're going to get it in the comics, like whatever media outlet that they're going to do later. I thought that it does it slows down a little bit at the beginning, but then it starts to pick up as the movie goes, which is, I'm okay with it.
Which I'll even throw in there. I think as the film went on, I started liking it more and more and more. Like, the film started, I'm like, kept going, and then by the third act, like, there comes one moment where I was absolutely in tears. Like, I felt the emotion, the goosebumps were running through me. I'm like, this is Star Wars. This is exactly what I wanted.
There were a couple moments for me where my heartstrings were tugged at, and I did feel the emotion, and tears started swelling up in my eye. Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls, Frankie Angel.
But when it comes down to those things that weren't answered for me, that I wanted answered from Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, like, I'm even more fervent about it when it comes to wanting to know the damn answer. And I think the beginning of this one just throws more questions at you that don't necessarily get answered in this movie. So from the get-go, I'm already waiting for some resolution and some definition on what actually is taking place or going on or how and what. But in the end, the story that they gave us was a lot of fun. It was an adventure film. An adventure
100%.
film that takes place in the Star Wars universe, which we're getting a lot of that recently.
Yeah.
So it did feel on par with Mandalorian and Rebels, and what we're getting to the point where, because those exist, this one can exist and feel like it's part of the same family. And that's why I loved it, for that aspect.
Right, and once again, you know, you have John Williams doing the music, and he brings certain elements from the old that kind of tug at your heartstrings, but at the same time, you do have the opportunity to remember, and like when you hear the music, you know that something's coming, so you do have that opportunity too.
Yeah, and I again, John Williams is one of the best scores, like, ever. Like, he's such a good composer, and the way that he brings all those emotions and really brings about all the film together, and really, again, all the saga scores together, and the way he intertwines it perfectly. And I have to give a shout out to Rey's score. It is great, and that's some of the moments that give me goosebumps. Now, no spoilers, of course. Again, going back to the questions, for me, it didn't answer, like, it answered everything I wanted to know in some of the most obvious ways possible, but the questions that it didn't answer, I might look on that in a couple weeks, a couple months from now, where I'm like, how'd that happen? And, you know, Disney Plus, comics, books,
Expanded universe.
all of that, you know, they're gonna enhance onto that and be like, hey, you want to find out how this happened? Read this book.
And that's why I do feel like I'm not let down in that aspect. I felt like, oh, well, I learned a lot more about these characters that did make it fulfilling, especially Snap Wexley himself and the Wexley family. I have far more emotion and knowledge of the Wexley family from reading the Aftermath series. So coming into this one, it's like you feel a little bit more for these characters. However, though, I do feel like one of the things that I've been missing out on when it comes to the new trilogy, I haven't felt a connection with certain characters in this new trilogy versus the old one. I just felt like a lot of them were just kind of there on a surface level, and I didn't get real depth in this one. But there are a couple characters in this one that finally brought me back to that level of emotion, and it's the whole tear swelling up moment for me.
And I agree.
And it's definitely one that you're happy you got it, because it is kind of a completion to certain characters in the Star Wars universe. The saga is over, it is complete. And for that, and the execution that they ended up pulling off in this movie, although rushed, to squeeze it all in one film, could have been spread out a little bit.
Could have been longer.
Could have been longer.
Could have been almost like 3 hours. And I think I would have been fine with that. Like when it got to the ending part, like when you know the resolution's coming, you're going,
sure,
okay, this is about to end any second.
It's happening too quick.
Final shot was great though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Love the final shot.
Going back off of what you were saying too about how you feel this connection because you're reading the books.
Right.
I felt like that too, and I feel like there are certain moments in this movie that was a little bit heightened because of what I read in the books, because of what I heard in Aftermath and all the other books, because it reminds me of something in the books. And you're like, oh, well, maybe that's them bringing something in. So that kind of brought it into the movie too.
It's very subtle.
Yeah.
It's execution. It's like they really, this whole trilogy, a lot of people have had complaints that it doesn't feel connected. It doesn't. This one, while it, again, retcons some things from Last Jedi,
Sure.
it also still elevates and takes some of the elements from there. It doesn't retcon it completely. I think if you're a Star Wars fan, you're going to really like this movie. I would be surprised. Is this going to bring back the fandom together? No, I don't think so. This is going to be a great discussion to hear what people really think about this. Are they going to love it? Are they going to hate it? That's going to be great. There's going to be people who absolutely hate it. There's going to be people who love it. That's what's great about Star Wars. I take the good, the bad, and the ugly with it. So.
Yep. And there's plenty of ugly, and there's plenty of good, and there's a little bit of bad. But when it comes down to it, Rise of Skywalker, it was good. We're going to need more time to think about it, to watch it, to analyze it. Was it over the top and joyous exclamations of excitement? No. But there were definitely moments of happiness and joy seeping through you on a more calm, a more dull, and I think that's just coming from where we were with The Last Jedi. You weren't over the top. You're a little bit more reserved. You're holding back a bit. It's going to take some more screening. It's going to take that crowd atmosphere. Right. And 100%. We didn't get that in here.
No, it's going to be different on opening night. Definitely, it's going to be different on opening night because people don't know how to react to screens. Do we scream? Do we cheer?
I know, right?
There was a couple reactions like, "Oh my god!"
Right.
There's one towards the end that one lady in the audience just went out, and it was great because I was kind of like, okay, same. I feel the same way. I just don't know if I should interrupt it or not.
Yeah.
I was very reserved in my thing. I just kept going like that, but
I think this film is going to work. It depends on rewatchability. I feel like there is rewatchability on. It just depends on the future of how many rewatches you want to do. Sometimes you see a Star Wars film, you're like, that was fantastic.
Right.
Sometimes you walk out and you're like,
I could do one more.
Yeah, but it's going to depend on rewatches over the coming months. So it's hard to give a full this is what I feel about it, because a year from now I could be like, you know what, that did not age well, but it could age better. So
takes time to marinate.
It's not perfect.
Yep.
But it's fun.
And you have to justify it just with your own beliefs, with your own idea that is Star Wars, because like a lot of people have said ever since Last Jedi moving forward, Star Wars is very personal to a lot of people, so it depends on how it's personalized to you. You could accept it, you could not. We'll find out when we all see it, and if you don't see it, it's your choice. We are going to see it again. We have tickets for Thursday. I think we have them again for Friday. So we're going to get plenty of time to marinate, sit on it with a crowd, because that's the most fun for my theater going experience, is with the entire crowd just going crazy.
General audience.
I think Force Awakens is still one of the best theater experiences I've ever had because of that crowd.
Jurassic World.
Jurassic World is another good one.
I kept going back trying to recapture it. You got any more of that Jurassic World excitement? It was gone by Sunday.
Yeah, Jurassic World, Force Awakens, Infinity War is pretty good too.
Right.
Last Jedi, a couple moments, Endgame. But yeah, it's when you get those crowd moments that really makes it great. So maybe this will be even better with a crowd.
But we'll find out this coming weekend. Thank you guys for watching our non-spoiler review for The Rise of Skywalker. If you saw it, tell us down below what you thought. If you didn't see it, don't say anything, but you could if you want. If you haven't seen it and you're watching this video, beware the comment sections, because everyone's going to talk about it. It's going to be really hard not to. Thank you, Zach. Hope, where can everybody find you?
Well, thank you guys for having me. I've been watching you guys forever. Glad I could finally join in one of your videos, because you guys drove up from Tucson to
right down the road.
That's all it worked. Yeah, 2 hours long. You guys can find me on YouTube at Zach Poke. Just type that in. Over on Twitter at Poke the King. Those are the places that you guys can find me at. Thank you guys again so much for having me. Glad we weren't late for this one.
Nope, never. And this one, we're finally early, and we've got a jump on everybody else, saying what we thought about a movie that everyone's going to yell about and fight about and actually celebrate too, because there is plenty of celebration in this film. So thank you guys so much. You can like and subscribe.
And did the thing on our Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Stardust.
All the social networking gene joints, you know where they are. Taking the party, feel the party, keep the party going on our Patreon. Takes the party on the road. Thank you guys so much. And as always,
Now it's time to say goodbye.
party is over.
Bye.
Bye.